dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYNT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Around 5,000 votes separate Republican Governor Matt Bevin and Governor-elect Andy Beshear, and now all eyes are on what happens next. WYNT's Emily Bennett is in the studio with us tonight with more on today's developments. Emily?
Steve, Andy Beshear has made it very clear he is making the transition to governor, even though Governor Matt Bevin is not giving up. Here's what each candidate plans to do next. Election day is over, but the governor's race is far from it.
We want the people of Kentucky to have absolute confidence that their votes were counted as they should have been counted.
Governor Matt Bevin is calling for a recanvassing after the initial results had Attorney General Andy Beshear winning with just 5,000 votes.
We know there have been thousands of absentee ballots that were illegally counted. That is known, and this again is something that's being looked into.
Beshear says he does not know anything about the irregularities the governor is claiming.
I don't know what information he's working off of. I know that about 5,000 votes and terribly close.
Beshear says the people have spoken, and he is starting the transition from Attorney General to governor.
So this isn't about politics anymore. That ended last night. This is about being the best governor that I can be for the people of Kentucky.
Wednesday, he announced J. Michael Brown as his transition chairman and says he is working on a budget.
That budget's going to be absolutely critical in its support of public education and of health care. And it's time we started taking the steps to put together the cabinet, the administration, and the budget that's going to be necessary to move our families forward.
Moving forward, even though Governor Bevin is not throwing in the towel. Now, Governor Matt Bevin won 97 counties in Kentucky over Beshear's just 23. However, high voter turnout in Lexington and Louisville was just able to push Beshear over the top.
Yeah, and the Libertarian candidate probably did not help Bevin either. Emily, thank you very much. It's been a remarkable 24 hours here in the state of Kentucky. Well, according to the state's chief election officer, Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes, Andy Beshear is now the governor-elect. However, she says there are options for Governor Bevin to re-examine the results. The first one is that recanvass, which he did today, and that will take place next Thursday.
The second procedure would be a contest proceeding, something that is wholly governed by Kentucky statute that would occur before the members of the General Assembly.
Now, if the governor considers that route after the recanvass, he has 30 days to file after the State Board of Elections certifies the results by the end of this month. Now, Governor Bevin must contest the election in order to receive a recount of the votes. If that process is initiated, the General Assembly would form a committee of 11 randomly selected lawmakers that could take depositions, order a recount, and make a recommendation to the full legislature. Today, we talked with Senate President Robert Stivers in Manchester, who says he's not all surprised by Governor Bevin's request for recanvass. He said he instructed his staff 2 weeks ago to look at the too close to call scenarios, and even said before the election he expected just a 1-point difference. Stivers said while Bevin has had many successes as governor, people shut down his message because of his rhetoric, and Beshear made the election about personality.
He wanted to make it a personality race instead of a policy race. He was specifically vague on, well, I want to do this, this, and this, but no specifics. But, you know, you saw the commercials. Everybody else talked about respect and how people were treated and things of that nature. So he tried to make it about personalities.
Stivers says he will work with Beshear, but reminds people Republicans hold the majority in the legislature. Shockwaves from our elections last night could sway how races are run across the country in 2020. Washington correspondent Kyle Madura continues our coverage exploring the political fallout in the nation's capital.
Washington insiders are recalibrating campaign strategy now that Democrat Andy Beshear is poised to become the next governor of the deep red bluegrass state.
Kentucky has a chance to send the radical Democrats a message.
Incumbent Republican Governor Matt Bevin strongly tied his campaign to President Donald Trump, but fell about 4,000 votes short.
It is a major wake-up call for the Republicans, and I'd certainly expect them to be running scared today.
While Republicans won 5 of the 6 statewide races Tuesday night, spokespeople for the Democratic National Committee see the results as a major victory.
If you lose, it sends a really bad message.
The president won Kentucky by 30 points in 2016, but they say voters just sent a distinctly different message straight to the White House.
Because Trump went to Kentucky, he campaigned for Bevin. He actually said, Bevin, if you lose, it's going to look really bad for me.
You can't let that happen to me.
And it does.
I think that's infantile analysis.
Those in charge of winning President Trump a second term aren't ready to concede just yet. A closer inspection of the razor-thin result in the governor's race is likely. And while the president is wildly popular in the state, surveys pegged Bevin as the least popular governor in the country. Mark Lauder with the Trump 2020 campaign says presidential support is the only reason this race was close.
These governor's races, they're very important from a state perspective, but when it comes to the national elections, they don't matter that much.
There's another potential test of the president's influence just around the corner. He's throwing his political weight behind the Republican gubernatorial candidate in Louisiana. Voters there go to the polls in just 10 days. In Washington, Kyle Madura, WYMT Mountain News.
Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell filed a bill today to secure the pensions of union coal miners, but the Lexington Herald Leader reports some are worried that it falls short of protecting disabled miners. The bill would help stabilize pension funds for the United Mine Workers of America, but the bill does not reinstate a tax on coal companies that funds the Black Lung Disability Fund. That fund has been in jeopardy since last year when the tax was cut in half. Advocates warn that thousands of disabled miners could lose access to health care if the fund dries up. A Kentucky mining company is planning to lay off more than 150 people near the beginning of next year. Nally and Hamilton sent warn notices to officials in Harlan, Nelson, Leslie, Bell, and Laurel counties, advising them of the possible layoffs. The biggest hit is in Pineville. That's where 97 miners could soon be unemployed.
We're concerned, but I will say this. I've got all faith in the Hamilton family. They've survived for decades here in the mountains, and, I hope this doesn't come to fruition.
We reached out to Nally and Hamilton at their Bardstown office, and they did not want to comment.
Well, we saw no clouds earlier today. Now clouds are increasing and those rain chances starting to increase as well. We'll go ahead and take you to satellite and radar. There's those clouds has been increasing throughout the evening. Now we're bringing in a few stray rain chances as we head into those overnight hours. Like I said, there are just some stray rain chances here and there. The best chance of rain does still look to be throughout the day on your Thursday. Most of us into about the 50s, 54 into Jackson, 52 Moorhead. We just dropped to 49 here in Hazard, 46 down into Harlan, 52 over into London. Now most of us will actually stay into about the mid to upper 40s. That cloud cover will keep us a little bit on the warmer side tonight, and like I said, we'll see a stray chance for a shower or two as that cold front moves in, and as that arrives, temperatures crash as we head into your Thursday night, especially as we head into your Friday. We are still looking at a pretty nice weekend ahead. I'll have all those details coming up in just a little bit.
All right, thank you, Paige. The cause of a deadly Tennessee crash that killed 2 men and injured another from eastern Kentucky is still unknown. 2 A&A safety employees, 22-year-old Jared Helton and 30-year-old Justin Stafford, were killed when company officials say a semi-truck drove into a work zone in Memphis. Transportation officials say the contractors were replacing center reflectors when a semi-truck hit a Tennessee Highway Patrol car into them. The third contractor, 22-year-old Cody Fultz, was hospitalized but is expected to be okay. A strange story tonight out of Whitley County. That's where officials say 2 people were flown to the hospital after 2 accidental shootings. Police say it started on Savoy Road when a woman who they believe to be blind shot her husband in the leg thinking he was an intruder. Police say she fired another shot while they were responding. That woman ended up accidentally shooting herself in the hand. While it's still early in the investigation, police say both people did not have life-threatening injuries. Police did not release their names. It's almost deer season, and the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife wants gun hunters to be safe this year. Chronic wasting disease is infecting deer in several surrounding states. It is in 6 of the 7 bordering states, with Indiana being the exception. The Department of Fish and Wildlife is working hard to keep it that way. Gabe Jenkins says educating hunters is the first line of defense in keeping the disease out of Kentucky.
They are the boots on the ground. They are the folks that are really enacting what we're recommending. So main forms of disease introduction could be carcass importation. So if you're a hunter, you like to go to another state where there's chronic wasting disease, make sure that you leave those harvested animals there.
It's, of course, still okay to hunt, but you should get the animal tested by a local agency. It's important that you do not take back any part of the nervous system. It was another good night for Whitley County's Elaine Stott. She is still thriving on season 39 of Survivor. Last week, she created a blindside when she won a block of vote advantage. Otherwise, she was at risk of being voted off the island. But tonight, she was not even part of the tribal council. But it was a dramatic one with 2 immunity idols used, and Jack was voted out. The merge happens next week. You can watch Elaine Wednesdays at 8 on Survivor Island of the Idols right here on WYMT. Johnson County Health held a community planning meeting today to discuss an opioid response plan. More than 60 members of the community came out to show their support. WYMT's Lauren McCourt sat down with 2 leaders who say they are ready to see a change.
A problem we hear about every day.
We feel that it's a very important issue that we need to cover,
especially in the mountains of eastern Kentucky.
A lot of people don't want to think that there is an issue with any kind of drugs in our community, and we know that there is.
The opioid epidemic is no stranger to Johnson County, but leaders in the community are ready to see a change.
We have so many valuable resources in our community that so many people are not even aware of.
Resources Justin Hall says he wished he would have known about when he needed a place to go.
You know, we weren't doing things like this 7 years ago, the first time I went to treatment. There was nothing like this. And, you know, my mom didn't even know if she needed to call somebody and have a prescription wrote for me.
Now working for addiction recovery care, Hall is ready to help those who walk in the path he once took.
This generation will be defined by how we deal with this problem, how we help those that are addicted.
Though this problem cannot be solved overnight.
These are our people. If we do not band together and help each other, nobody else is going to do that for our community.
Coming together to help others is a good place to start. In Johnson County, Lauren McCourt, WYMT Mountain News.
Johnson County Health Department officials say they plan to host more community response plan meetings in the future. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, Mexican officials are trying to figure out what led up to a deadly ambush that killed several American citizens.
And we'll track that cold front that'll bring soggy and cold weather back into the mountains coming up.